Personally, I thought the NFL was going to be the next domino to drop in this gambling issue. The one that got Chauncey Billups and a couple of other NBA players and some Italian mafia figures caught up a couple of weeks ago. But I was wrong because now it looks like it's Major League Baseball players that are in trouble. Again, I don't understand how these sports leagues thought that if they introduced gambling into their sports, that players, personnel would not try to take part in it. It makes no sense to me at all. It's like you having a school full of kids and you introduce candy into the vending machines and you expect them to not, at least some of them, to not want to spend money or try to retrieve the candy. Even though you say that if the kids buy candy, or to say the kids are not allowed to buy candy out of the vending machine within school hours, you have to be crazy if you think every child in that school is going to follow that rule. Or better yet, cell phones and laptops. I've seen where you can have rules in schools where kids they use a school laptop, they can only use it for school purposes and only can use it at certain times. You have got to be dumber than a box of rocks if you think every child is going to follow that rule every day with the temptation right there in front of them. And then they mess around and get now I ain't now understand. You do the crime, you do the time. Period. You need to be the one that don't get in trouble with it. But as an adult, you got to understand somebody's going to fall prey to this. But anyway, let's get into this story, man, because what this video shows is exactly how the bets were made with these two pitchers. And this is interesting. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. When you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Let's hit it.
The scheme outlined in the 23-page indictment lays out the process in which Clase Ortiz and two bettors labeled as Better 1 and Better 2 wagered thousands of dollars on prop bets as the result of specific pitches and the speed of pitches thrown by the Guardians pitchers. Starting as far back as May 2023, Clase worked with Better 1 and Better 2 to wager on the outcome of his pitches and pitch speeds, usually the first of an at-bat. Clase would text or call Better 1 during games to let them know when to place the wagers, and on some occasions, he would even provide money for Better 1 to wager on his behalf the outcome of his own pitches.
So they would have cell phones, man, these younger generations. I'm going to say younger generation because I'm in my late 40s. This man got to be in his 20s. That's what they grew up on. That's all they know. They can't put the sun gun down for anything. So they got cell phones or however he was calling. How are you in the game calling somebody to place a bet on something, on a pitch you're going to throw during the game? And everything is electronically monitored. And yet you think you're going to be smarter than the government. I just don't understand it.
One example highlighted in the document. On May 17th of this season, the Guardians were facing the Cincinnati Reds. First pitch was at 6:40 p.m. At 8:24 p.m., Clase sent a text asking if Better 1 was, quote, ready. Better 1 responded, quote, but of course. Approximately 10 minutes later, Better 1 and 2 placed multiple wagers that a pitch by Clase would be a ball and be slower than 97.95 miles an hour. Clase entered the game in the bottom of the eighth, facing Reds infielder Santiago Espinal. First pitch was a slider, 87 miles an hour, and went into the dirt for ball one. That pitch won the two bettors approximately $10,000.
Again, why did these leagues not think that this was possible? I think it's crazy. You look back to Pete Rose when they banned him from the Hall of Fame or even being associated with the NBA. Well, not in I mean the Major League Baseball, but he did do like did cover some games. But they weren't gonna let him in the Hall of Fame because he was betting on games. But as he was saying, he was betting on himself, on teams if he was going to win. He wasn't making bets to where he would like miss shots or throw balls in the dirt. He was betting on himself, almost like betting on himself to do better than what most people think he was going to do. And yet they banned him for life from betting, and now it's full circle. And you got people who bet, and the crazy thing that makes it easy for them to do, where people can make money. And I think the reason why a lot more people are have got into gambling because you can bet pitches. You can bet shots in basketball. You can bet if somebody gonna walk, if somebody gonna get called for a travel, how many fouls are gonna get in the quarter, how many points are gonna, if their next shot gonna be left-handed or right-handed, stuff like that. And so he told them to place a bet on how a pitcher's going to happen, and they won $10,000. So he does gonna be a red flag. Gonna be a red flag, especially if you didn't put a whole lot into it. I would like to know how much they put into that bet. But if you put like a few $100s, if that, and you end up winning $10,000, oh yeah, the house is gonna want to know who won that money and how, and then they're gonna watch you for future bets, and that's probably how they got caught.
It was Clase who brought Ortiz into the scheme in or around June of this past season and received money for coordinating between Ortiz and the bettors. On June 15th, the Guardians were facing the Seattle Mariners. Ortiz was the starting pitcher. Before the game, Ortiz and Clase had agreed in exchange for approximately $5,000, Ortiz would throw a ball for his first pitch in the second inning. When Ortiz took the mound in the second frame, he threw an 86-mile-an-hour slider to Randy Arozarena that hit the dirt. Clase was also paid $5,000 for coordinating.
Now, okay, pay. I wonder how much. I wonder how much did the bettors win? Because $5,000 would probably be like a small percentage. So I wonder how much the bet. Again, you make these large bet on these obscure plays and pitches, and you win this big money, but you don't think the house is going to red flag that. And then you continue to make these bets and win this big money. Nobody gets that lucky. Hell, if you're in a casino and you are winning big money, they're watching you like a hawk, and eventually they're going to kick you up out the casino if you just continue to win, especially if they can't figure out how you're doing it. And they probably ban you from gambling. But these young dummies thought, ain't nobody watching us because we just on the cell phone texting each other. Play some bets online.
All in all, bettors won at least $400,000 on these prop bets.
Wow.
Clase and Ortiz are charged with fraud, honest services wire fraud conspiracy, conspiracy to influence sporting contests, and bribery and money laundering conspiracy. If found guilty on all charges, they could face up to 65 years in prison.
God almighty. 65 years in prison. I'll be dang. Are you serious? Is that the end of it? Okay. That seems like the end of it. 65 years in prison, you got a few $1,000s, and you making, let me see. Hold on. Let me look. Let me look at these contracts because I looked it up. It say Emmanuel Claus signed a 5-year extension in April 2022 worth $20 million, including a $2 million signing bonus. So he making millions, but yet he's helping somebody win the bet and getting paid $5,000 for each bet. Amazing. And it says, what does it say? The deal covers seasons 2022 through 2026 with club options for 2027 and 2028 at approximately $10 million apiece. He ain't gonna see that contract. And then Luis L. Ortiz has a one. Or nah, if that was what's his name, Ortiz son, they would have said something. He said he has a 1-year contract for the 2025 season with a salary of $782,600 guaranteed. So you're not making. He's not making millions of dollars, but still, you're making a whole hell of a lot more than a lot of us who's sitting here watching you play, and you feel you got to gamble. Again, I'm not understanding what Major League Baseball, the NFL, NBA thought was going to happen when you let DraftKings and what's the other ones called? FanDuel and MGM bets and things of that nature. It was ESPN bets. You let you allow gambling in sports. It's bad enough that the average person going to gamble because because you know what, you're probably thinking, oh man, these guys making millions, hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars, they're not going to be gambling, so it's okay. We can bring allow gambling in our sports, trying to justify because you want that money. But when you got somebody who has a a need to win competition, if you will, and they feel, hey, I can gamble because so we all hear stories of, I mean, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, cats like that who gamble a lot, go to casinos and gamble a lot. And those are like some of the best, two of the best players that ever played NBA, and they gamble. And they were making killer money, hella money. Why do you not think that others in your sport gamble? They talking about they play card games. You know what I'm saying, on the team bus and on a team plane. But you want to bypass that and think, well, just because they're making millions, they're not going to bet on games on themselves. Some of them going to do that. Some of them going to do, especially youngins. You know what I'm saying? They want that, especially if you got that hood or that street cred stuff like that, shooting dice. Sure, I've seen stories where basketball players just say they used to shoot dice in the locker room. That's the element that you have. And now you're introducing the element to where it's legal to gamble. And so they're gonna try to find a way to do it and thinking that they're gonna do it. And I guarantee these ain't the only two players. Guaranteed it ain't the only two players. They're probably like small compared to the big players that are out there. Cause you think about it. The people that got arrested in the NBA, it's a coach, whatever. But he's not playing no more. So he got his money. And two players that I think don't play anymore. So you see what I'm saying? So they pretty much done. So it's funny how they got them, not really got no big time players that are like currently in the league. Then these two guys, they look like, what are they like second string, third string pitchers or whatever. It's probably why they're not making a whole lot of money, especially the Ortiz guy. You get them, but you don't get like your starters, your Cy Young winners, Gold Glove winners or whatever. You don't get those. They're not gambling. Oh no, just these guys that's on the sideline that nobody's going to miss. I think they're using them just to prove a point or just to get the message out there to say, hey, we are here. Just don't get no ideas because we're going to get these people. But if you continue to do what you're doing, we're going to come and get you eventually. So that's what I think. But yeah, there go two more. Another one, two more bites to dust. It's sad. It really is sad. But I mean, hey, they chose to do it, and this is gonna be it. I've told y'all I don't watch sports much because of the whole gambling element that they've added to the sports with the badges on the jerseys and the commercials and the banners that be hanging up and they're advertising this stuff because you got kids that are watching these sports. You want kids to grow up and play these sports, and those who not going to go to college or not going to go to the pros, they've already been programmed about gambling. It's about watching the stuff on TV. And then they may start making bets, and now you're going to have a whole lot of more households who are going to be destroyed because of this gambling. And hell, you got to happen in-house. You can't stop it in-house. So what you think is going to happen out here with us regular people, right? But anyway, that's all I got. Tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's have an intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those four things cost you maybe a couple of minutes out your day, but it means the world to us here at this channel. And with that being said, I leave you in peace, love, and I'll see you on the other side.